Today, we're going to be taking down the nano jungle. I've really enjoyed this tank, but it just feels like it's time for a change. And not just a little change, I want to do something completely different, a new environment. And we're going to take this tank Blackwater. To be completely honest with you, there's nothing wrong with this tank. But I just want to try something new. I want to try something that I've not ever done before. And for the fish that we've got in here, the strawberry rasboras, I just think that a Blackwater tank is really going to allow them to show off their true personality and just have a bit more of a natural environment to be themselves in. For our Blackwater scape, the main component is going to be a really nice bit of hardscape, and it's going to be wood. And I've found the perfect piece. I've been keeping this for quite a while, and to be honest, where this piece has just been sat on the rack staring at me, that's what's kind of been making me want to do Blackwater, because it just will fit in there perfect. But before we can get on to building the new scape, we've got to take everything out first. Let's catch all these rasboras, get them into a temporary tank whilst we get this one set up. All the rasboras are out. I know there's a few amanos in there, but I'm probably not going to be able to get those guys until we got more of the hardscape, the plants, and the water level drained right down. Let's get that all done, catch those amanos, and then we can start rebuilding this as a Blackwater tank. Tank's almost drained. I've just left that last little bit in the bottom. Like I said before, there's some amanos in there. There was one flying around. There it is. I'm going to try and catch these guys out. There should be about 3 or 4 in there. And then we will start taking out all the hardscape. I am going to miss that big bit of moss that's grown on top of this wood, because that does look awesome. But we'll get it all out. We're committed to the Blackwater now. And then we'll start the build. Definitely saving the moss. That is a nice bit of moss we got in there. I wonder if it will just peel off like a mat. If this just peels off, this might be the most satisfying thing that you see on YouTube this year. Oh. Amazing. Oh, look at all that boost underneath. I forgot we even put boost in there. What's really interesting about this, right? 1, that's amazing. 2, you can see where this part here is gone back to like its terrestrial form, where it's been poking out of the water. What a lovely bit of moss though. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but maybe we'll just stick it in a shrimp tank. We've got it all back to the bare substrate. We're going to take most of this out, but I am going to use some of this as a base for the Blackwater. There's nothing wrong with this substrate. We won't necessarily need it to grow plants or anything, because we're going to do a Blackwater scape. There's going to be no plants in there. But it does just seem like a waste to chuck it out and not reuse it. So we'll save this. Here we are, good as new. First thing I'm going to do is get a little layer of that old substrate back in, and that's going to be our base for the new scape. I think that'll probably be more than enough. I don't want this coming too far to the front, because we've got a lighter, more natural colour sand to go over the top. That should probably do for that. So next I've got this nice natural coloured substrate. quite light, so I'm actually going to be mixing a few different shades into this. Because this is quite a light sand. Thinking I might have made that back bit a bit too high, you know. But that's fine. We can easily sort that out. It doesn't really matter to me if some of this mixes. It's all going to be Blackwater anyway, and it's going to look fine if there's mixed tones. It's going to be a lot of leaf litter over the top of it. Get a tiny bit more of that in there. It is now time for that first big branch. And the position of this is going to be quite limited. We want the back piece poking out of the tank. And we also want to try and get these front pieces as much into the substrate as we can. And then we're just going to want to build off this. So I have got some other more spindly pieces. And let's see if we can work those into the scape a bit. So we're looking down the tank now. And I just want to see where I can fit some of these other pieces in that we've put together. And I think the thing is here with sort of a root arrangement is that the less you try and make it look perfect, the more natural it will look. I'm using more than one type of wood here just to make it feel that little bit more so it doesn't feel too one-dimensional. This initial piece of wood is filling the tank a lot more than I expected it to. I've been playing with it a bit more off camera just because I didn't want to bore you with how long it's taken me just to figure out how everything can sit in there together. There's a lot of spindly pieces, and trying to even just get it to sit where it didn't look massively out of place was a bit of a challenge. I've still got quite a few pieces left over, and I don't think this is quite it yet. There's a lot of unnatural cuts here that I want to try and hide. So that's what we're going to do next. We'll probably need to glue some of these pieces on as well. I just want to try and hide some of these harsh, unnatural looking lines that we've got. Not like that. So what I'm trying to do is use the end pieces of this other type of wood to almost hide some of these harsher lines, and then link them back up with the other parts higher up in the scape. I've been doing this for ages. I've probably been fiddling around with how everything looks for about an hour. I finally figured out the way that everything should mix in properly, got some glue on all of the contact points. It wasn't going to be massively interesting, and I'm sure you didn't want to sit there and watch me do it for an hour, but we've got everything sorted now. Everything's in a place where it looks fairly natural. We got some bits that look like roots going in and out of the substrate as well, which looks really cool. There will be a different light going on this. So because it's Blackwater, I've also got a little spotlight for this tank. Because there's not going to be any plants inside there, it's not going to be important for us to have really bright lighting, and actually it will take away from the tannins effect. What I want to do next is just top it off with a tiny bit more sand, and then we're also going to mix a couple bits of darker sand into there just to give it a more natural look. I do also have another darker sand. We're going to get this mixed in and just give that substrate a bit of variation. Now I'm just going to take some of that darker substrate that we've got and just get a bit here and there around where the roots sort of enter. Just want to kind of give it a bit more of a natural look and variation to the substrate. And of course, this is going to look completely different when we've got those tannins in there and that Blackwater vibe going on. You're not really going to see the substrate all that well. I think that's going to be plenty. Now I'm just going to take a little tiny bit of the Limpopo as well. As far as the hardscape goes, I'd say we're pretty much finished there. I know some of you might be questioning the different shades of sand that we added there, but I'm pretty sure it's going to look really good as soon as we got that Blackwater over it and we've changed the light. Now I am going to quickly move the other light on and just see what it looks like. I also have one more thing to add to the scape, which is a terrestrial plant. So we're going to add some pothos. Actually, I think they changed the name of it. I think it's philodendron now. Or maybe it is actually pothos and it used to be philodendron. I don't remember. I'm better with aquatic plants than terrestrial plants, but it's called Marble Queen. Looks pretty neat. We're going to get that on the top of this. Unfortunately, I just recorded an entire section of this video without having my microphone plugged in. And also, whilst I was doing that, my gimbal died and the phone was pointing at the floor for about 3 to 4 minutes whilst I was getting the tank up on the rack and filled slightly. Really sorry that you're going to miss that part. Also, I have just gone and popped the spotlight that we got for this build up onto the tank. The great thing about a Blackwater build is you don't need a fancy light. So this light I got for less than £10 on Amazon. It's got 3 light settings, it's got a warm light setting, and I'll quickly show you them now. So if I can remember what button to press, there we go. So it's got like a white light, like a warmer tone. Sorry, that's the warmer tone. There was one where they're both together. Now, the other thing that's quite cool, well, firstly, I can turn it on and off. What I was trying to do was dim the light and increase the light. The other thing it does is you can adjust how wide the beam is. Okay, it will eventually start making the beam wider like this. We can get more light. So this is going to give us loads of options for how we light the tank and how we use shadows and everything to make this scape look even cooler. Next, I need to go and get some more water to finish filling this up. I just wanted to let it sit for a while, see if anything tried floating before we went the rest of the way. I think we're good. Then we'll be talking about botanicals and getting a selection of botanicals in here. Some jackfruit leaves, some Walisi pods, some Veralu leaves, and some eucalyptus bell pods. When it comes to adding botanicals to your tanks, you do always want to prepare them a little bit first. There's a couple of reasons for that as well. So the first reason is that most of these leaves, pods, when they're imported into the country, because of certain rules and regulations, they will have to undergo fumigation. Now, most of the time, it's probably okay, but you don't really want to risk it. If you soak, boil your botanicals, it's going to help you get any of that stuff off. It's also going to help them to get waterlogged quicker so that they will sink and not just float around in your aquarium. So let's get all of this chucked in here now. And give that a mix around. You're probably going to be tempted to add this water when you see all the tannins it releases into your aquarium to help you start off that blackwater. Resist the urge to do it, because if for any reason there was a little bit of chemicals left on these pods, these leaves and everything, then you could be potentially introducing those chemicals into the aquarium, which is not what you want to do. Another great reason to add botanicals and anything that releases tannins to your tank is that they are great for your fish's health, and shrimp too. The effect that botanicals and tannins, with all of the things that they release, has on your water can help your fish's health by preventing bacterial infections. So this is a great preventative measure to try and help your fish stay healthier and never get ill in the first place, rather than trying to treat them after they're already ill. Tannins and botanicals, they'll also soften the water slightly, so it's a great natural way to bring your pH down, especially if you keep certain species of fish and shrimp that prefer that soft water. Botanicals are a really good way to give you a bit more of an edge into getting the pH that you need. Now, whilst these soak, let's get the rest of the water into the aquarium, get that filled up, and then we'll be able to add these in. And the thing that we feared would happen has happened. So I was getting the tank just up to here so I could film for the video the last little bit of water going in, and lo and behold, the wood's floating. So we're going to get this rock back on there, just let as much of this soak as we can for a few days. I've got that rock on there. That's going to hold as much of it in the water as possible. Loads of the pieces of wood are floating. What a disaster, but we did know it could happen. I was hoping I'd be lucky. Sometimes it plays out how you want it to, and sometimes it doesn't, and that's just the way it is when you make an escape like this. You win some, you lose some. I'm going to chuck the botanicals in anyway, and then we will come back in hopefully a day or two, and this wood will be ready to just sit. We can fix the scape and get the fish added back in. So the botanicals, we're just going to pop in here, and we're just going to have to play around with this in a few days. At least we will be getting tannins into the water in the meantime. You can see some of the leaves want to sink already, which is good. This is such a shame that that happened, but it is what it is. We'll come back in a few days. Hopefully the water is a bit more tannin stained. We can get the fish back in and everything will be good. Fingers crossed. It's been about 3 or 4 days since we filled the tank up and had the wood completely lift up, float out of position. Everything seems like it's pretty much settled now. So let's get the rock off. I have put the old light bar up here just so that we can work on the scape a little bit. I'm gonna try and do it in place. I don't wanna have to drain it, take it all back down. I reckon we can probably work with it where it is. Most of the scape stayed intact, so let's give it a go. Probably should have done this before I put the light bar up in the way. Okay, oh, it moved a little bit. We will see how it goes. Okay, that rock can go up here for now. So, am I happy with the placement of that sponge foot? It is circulating the water actually, so that's probably okay. Just want to try and rearrange some of these pieces that broke off a bit, tangle them back in. I don't think we're going to have much luck gluing everything, so I'm just going to try and wedge parts back in a natural looking way. And if I can cover some of the bits of glue in the meantime, then we will make do with the rookie mistake that I made. But hey, it never goes according to plan, right? And that's one of the fun parts of doing scapes and everything. So let's get these pieces back up there, right. I think I've got the hardscape as good as I'm really going to get it. It would have been lovely if it was all nice and neat like we had it before, but that's just not the way it's gone. And I will learn from that and make sure that I glue some rocks down to the ends of the wood next time. So rookie mistake, caused a couple of issues, but it's not the end of the world. And if anything, it might end up making the whole thing look a little bit more natural. So it is what it is. Now I'm just going to move around some of these leaves. Just want to spread them out a bit in the scape. To be honest, I think that's probably going to look all right how it is like that. I don't want to play with it too much. I don't want to make it look really man-made. So I've learned a lot for the next time I do this style scape. We'll take this light off, we'll get the spotlight on, and then see how it looks. That's the sort of colour we want. And I think that's probably the sort of beam that we want. I'm going to have a play around with it, and then when I've got the right position, we'll come back. And now that we've got the light set up properly, those bits I was worried about in the scape don't actually really look like they matter that much anymore. So I'm going to say this was a success. Now I have got something here, which I'm going to have to turn the lights back on to show you. I received some products recently from Dymax. One of those was this Ultra Blackwater. I'm going to give it a go. It says we need about a capful for this size, half a capful, sorry, for this size tank. That won't make the water go darker or more like black water, but it's supposed to have the same sort of benefits for the tank as when it is black water. So this is like a black water specific conditioner, I suppose. So we'll make sure we use that on this tank. I've tested the water, we put some of that extra conditioner in, and I left a mature sponge in there with the already running sponge over the last few days whilst everything was clearing up. So this tank's actually good to go, and I'm going to pop the fish in right now. So we just caught these guys back out of their holiday tank, and I'm excited to see what they end up looking like under this sort of light as well. They're all schooling really nice right now. Now, this is really fun and quite interesting, even for me to watch, because I've never done a blackwater tank before. I'm interested to see the sort of behaviour these fish show in amongst more of a natural style habitat with all of the roots and leaf litter, and just to see how much more comfortable they are in that lower light with the the tannin stained water and everything just being a bit darker. And as the tannins leach into the water more and we get more and more of that tea stain look over the coming weeks, it's going to be really interesting to see what their colours start to look like. So far, I'm loving this. And that brings us to the end of the Blackwater Scape. I've had a great time doing this. It was something really different. Like I said, probably 100 times during this video, I've never done Blackwater before. So yeah, to give something brand new a go and figure it out as I went along. I mean, I can't lie, it wasn't difficult, apart from the couple of setbacks that was through poor planning on my own part. But I think it looks awesome. I'm really excited to see how this develops as the tannins build up in the water and we get that darker tea stained look, and to see how it affects the behavior of the fish and their coloration and everything over time. So I'm not really going to do anything else to this tank. Maybe there'll be a few small tweaks over the coming weeks, but like I said, mainly it's just going to be building the tannins up in the water to get that nice color. If you've been thinking about doing your own Blackwater Scape, then I hope this video has been somewhat helpful for you. And if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.